Welcome back, YouTubers. This is the Nooga Cowboy. Got something a little bit different for you today. I am riding a Harley Iron 883, and I never rode one of these before, so this is interesting. Actually, most of you know when I first bought my motorcycle, I was initially going in for the Indian Scout Bobber. Ended up with Jolene, my Scout 60. She was just calling to me. But before all of that, I was looking at this bike versus one of the entry-level Indian bikes. But before I got the chance to go test ride one of these, I bought my Indian. So now that I own an Indian, I'm test riding one of these. Kind of in reverse, but we'll see what this the Iron has to offer. And initial thoughts: cramped. I mean, I'm about 5'11", and I'm going to be as biased as possible, as I'm an Indian guy, but you know, I just like motorcycles, so I'm not here to bash at all. But you can see how high my knees are, and maybe it's just because I'm used to the Scout 60. It's just it's uncomfortable, to be honest with you. Maybe I could get used to it. So it just feels like my knees are almost in my chest. Now that's just sitting on the bike. Comparing it to an Indian Scout 60. And it feels like, I know the Scout 60 has more horsepower. I need to check the specs on this. I know I'm working with 999 cc's on the Scout 60. And so it feels like this one is laboring a little bit more. And the suspension is not as good. I could say that. The suspension, not that the Indian Scout 60 suspension was all that, because it could use some work too. But definitely, you could definitely tell a difference. The Indian Scout 60 is Indian's, as I said before, the entry bike. So I'm assuming this is an entry bike for Harley. To be honest, I don't know a heck of a lot about Harley. I know some of the models, and you know, I know enough to talk about it. But as far as in detail, you know, I probably can't help you. And as I'm riding, let's go ahead and say this, as I'm riding, it still feels like my knees are a little higher. You know, it's not uncomfortable, it's just different. But as I'm riding, I'm getting more used to it. On a long run, I don't know how that would go. Yeah, geez. Definitely, suspension needs some work. Maybe replace that. Handling, I mean, it handles pretty well. Performance-wise. We'll see here in just a minute. Initially, before I bought my Scout, I was looking at this bike because it's got an aggressive look, so I like that. Wasn't a huge bike, no fairing, no windshield, and I really changed my mind on windshields. You can check out my Chief Vintage video. You know, I think I would Would I buy one of these new? No. I might buy one used just to scoot around town. We always thought of the Scout Bobber Scout 60 lineup for Indian to be that around town type of bike. But this is, I would definitely put this in that category. I know people that have taken some long runs, you know, down to Daytona or wherever to do the thing on one of these bikes, but it's not something I would recommend. I mean, it handles well, I'll give it that. It's a good handling bike. Okay, it's not bad. It's got a nice little acceleration still. Probably not probably the closest comparison I can come as far as comparing on these level bikes, Indian and Harley-Davidson. If there's another one you'd like me to ride, let me know in the comments. Definitely a smaller bike than the Scout 60. It's slimmer. It's got that jerk in it too. In first gear, whenever you whenever you twist the throttle, it's got a little jerk in it. I mean, the transmission, I mean, it shifts pretty smooth. I love the look of the bike, I really do. Now that I've rode one, I'm glad I went with the Indian. You know, I'm a bigger guy, so you know that's why I mentioned the knees and the chest at the beginning of the video. It's a different feel. It's not once you're on the bike for a little bit, you kind of get used to it, so not a huge deal, but I'm more comfortable on the Scout 60. I do like these bikes though. It is what it is. It's, you know, you're not gonna compete against a sport bike or anything. Fun little bike to ride, but definitely a noticeable difference from a Scout 60. I'll see if my good friends at Crockett Power Sports, maybe we could do something with this. I'd ride this. If you're looking to get into motorcycling and you know you've got a limited budget, I would definitely recommend this for a starter bike. You're not going to break the bank with it, and you'll have a cool looking bike, and you can get around town and show off a little bit. So big shout out to Crockett Power Sports for allowing me to take this girl out, line her and dine her a little bit. Just to sum up the ride, a nice beginner bike. I would definitely suggest it for that. But if you're going from an Indian, the Scout lineup for Indian, and want to go to this bike, definitely not. I would not do that. It just wouldn't work for you. Power wise, again, this is all comparing it to the Scout 60, which is 999 cc's. You're not going to have as much power. Yeah, so you're not going to have as much power. Handling is, I would say, just the short time I had it out, on par with the Scout 60. Performance is lacking a little bit, not a huge difference. And that one's a little dirty, but it's all good. Still, it's a mean looking bike, aggressive looking bike, so that's what I love about it.